Well, Helldivers, we're wearing our black shirt with our black hat, so it must be time for a video. Or in my case, it's just Tuesday. Well, this video is probably going to come out on Thursday or Friday. Anywho, today we're going to be making a tier list in Helldivers 2 for the primary weapons, the assault rifles, and the SMGs. Now, before we get into the tier list, I want to engage y'all in a little exercise, so follow along with me here. I want y'all to lay back, I want you to close your eyes. Unless you're driving or operating machinery, then don't do that. Now, I want you to picture your favorite assault rifle in any video game. I want you to think about what makes it special, how that baby purrs, and start to listen, and then you start to hear it, and yeah, there it is. So now y'all understand where I'm coming from when I'm coming into this tier list on what I kind of expect from a primary, assault rifle category-esque weapon. Now I'm throwing SMGs into this list as well because they basically function how the assault rifles should in most cases. Now, a little disclaimer before we start getting into the weapons and talking about them, all these weapons are technically viable, so it really doesn't matter where you see it in placement. If you really like a weapon, don't let me tell you that you can't use it. There's only one weapon on here that you don't want to use. But everything else is, if you can make it work, they all function in the higher tier difficulties. It's just a matter of how you like to play with them, right? So let's get into it. Now for the tier list, we have S tier category. This is usually something that's broken or is just really effective at what it does. It'll be like the best in class for a category. A tier is the viable, efficient tier where not really much needs to be changed. It's good where it is. B tier this is a good choice. It needs maybe a little bit of help to get to that more viable tier. C tier is still can use it. It's gonna struggle a little bit. And then my D tier is don't use. I don't recommend it. I'm not gonna go anything below D tier just because I'm not gonna. I just feel like it'll be a little too much, a little too many categories for this topic. So first weapon we're gonna talk about is the Tenderizer. This came in the Polar Patriots. I've seen some people throw this in S tier. I've seen some people throw it in A tier. Me, I'm gonna throw it in low B tier, high C. Placement on my tier list does matter. The more favorable weapons will be to the left, and the further down you get, those ones are worse in that category or that list. So I would put Tenderizer in the low B, upper C. Why is that? Aside from it does do a good amount of damage, don't get me wrong there, but that magazine size is rough. 30 rounds is not enough. It was better when I think it was 35 and then they nerfed it down to 30 and you're just reloading all the time. It doesn't feel satisfying when you're really laying into a chaff crowd and then your magazine's empty. Yep, so I mean this is where I'm gonna put that one. I hope it gets a buff for a higher magazine, but I'll go over at the end what I think this category overall needs. You can probably kind of tell, but I'll save that for the end. So let's move on to the next weapon. Why I didn't start off with the base liberator, I don't know. Anyways, I think this one is mid B tier. I like this weapon a lot. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's a low tier chaff clear weapon. That magazine size is basically where I think a lot of the weapons need to be. Now, could that magazine size be a little bit higher? Yeah, I think that'd be nice. Maybe a little bit more damage, but this thing sits right in the middle of B tier. I think it's perfectly viable. I like using this weapon a lot. I feel like it feels good. And it basically functions as the baseline for, I think, what most of these assault rifles should be doing. So yeah, middle of B tier, good both versus the bots and the bugs. And ooh, the Liberator Penetrator, this thing is not very good. This thing needs a lot of help. This is going into C tier. I feel like the damage is not respectable enough. And again, has that magazine size problem. Better against the bots, but the bugs, this thing is kind of, I don't want to say abysmal, but it needs a lot of help. It goes into C tier for me, and I'd probably put it in if we're going to throw it in with all primary weapons, this would be like a low C tier. Quick aside real quick, back to Halo, that assault rifle. I never did forgive Bungie for taking that magazine count from 60 to, what did they put it down to? 32, 30. Yes. Oh, the thing felt so much better when it had 60 rounds in the magazine. Can't get over it. Now let's move on to the carbine. This came out in the Viper Warbond. This thing doesn't have a ammunition problem, it has a damage problem. This thing functions as kind of like what an SMG would, but it just too much recoil, not enough damage. I feel like with these weapons that have like really fast rate of fire, their reload speed needs to be tweaked. I don't know if they do have that technology, because they have a stratagem upgrade that reloads our weapons 10% faster. So I think this thing could use a a reload clip increase in speed. This thing goes in C tier. This thing goes below the penetrator. It's just, and the range on it too. This thing needs help. This thing is struggling a little bit. So yeah, low C tier. And let's talk about the really bad assault rifle in the room, the Concussive Liberator. This thing is D tier for dog shit. I've seen some people make videos saying, I love this weapon, it's a good support weapon. You know what would really support your teammates? Having a weapon that kills the enemies that are around them. Being a contribution factor to the squad, that's what would help your squad. Not using this horrible weapon. This thing is bad. What it's supposed to do, I'm not sure. Actually, I know what it's supposed to do. We have a version of it that works, and that's the Pummeler. We're going to talk about that weapon next. That gun's awesome. This gun, it sucks. This is a bad gun. Bad gun. And I hate people that sit there and say it's good. It's not good. It's really bad. Okay, let's weapon aside. Yes, D tier. All right, we went from the worst assault rifle. Now let's go to, in my opinion, the best assault rifle, and that is the Adjudicator. This thing has medium armor penetration. This thing feels strong too, and it is. So the magazine size on it is the only thing holding it back. That's why it's going in the high B tier. I like the Adjudicator a lot. Now when it first launched, no, it was abysmal. It was very bad. But they gave it a little tweaks, probably could use a little bit more, but this thing is completely viable. I actually enjoy bringing this onto tier 10 and the higher difficulties all the time. So yes, the Adjudicator, big thumbs up, big thumbs up. Now let's move on to the ironic category that says it's a submachine gun category, but really these things have been the assault rifle that we wanted since the launch of the game. We're going to start off with the Pummeler. This is the Polar Patriots. This thing goes in A tier for me. This thing has great stagger and it kills chaff. Rate of fire maybe a little bit slow, but I don't mind it too much. Damage is good as well. This is what I brought into tier 10 right off the bat. I bring this weapon and I bring the Senator, and those two just pair really well together. And I am never disappointed when I'm using a Pummeler. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. This thing is great because it's an SMG. You can run and gun with it. So something like hunters or even stalkers, this thing just stops them in their place midair, and it gives you plenty of time. And this thing has enough damage to put all those enemies down. The Pummeler is amazing. I highly recommend it. This is one of my favorite guns. Also, the design is amazing. This is a great gun. A tier, A tier, A tier. Now moving from the Pummeler, we go to just the base SMG Defender. This thing is also very good. This thing goes in a high B tier. It's going to go right above where the regular Liberator is. These two kind of function, if you compare it to the base Liberator, these two basically function the same, except for the SMG, it has high caliber rounds, so it does more damage, and you can one-hand it, which means you can run a gun, you can pick up objectives like the data pad, and you can use the ballistic shield with it. The ballistic shield is very, it's okay, I don't want to say it's very good against the bots, but it's fun against the bots and it's functional and it's an option. So that's why it's above the base Liberator. But yes, the SMG Defender, I really like this weapon a lot. Again, this and the Pummeler, I go between them all the time. They're some of my favorite guns. You guys know from the last video, I freaking cosplay as Hunk from Resident Evil 2. So like his main thing's an SMG, and yes, the base SMG, so good, so good. And last, and certainly not least, because we have the Liberator Concussive, that one's last, we move on to the not so much pay-to-win Knight. This SMG you get for being a Super Citizen Edition. This is basically if the Redeemer SMG, the secondary we have, was a primary, and it don't work so well like that. I would put this in low C tier, below even the Carbine. Actually, these two probably are very similar. They don't function very well. The Carbine actually, I would put a little bit lower because it's not one-handed and the knight is, and so with that one-handed weapon you do get that run and gun functionality. So a little bit higher than carbine, but this thing needs basically the same amount of help where damage maybe a little bit bumped, reload a little bit quicker. I know these are supposed to be very close range weapons, but the other SMG and the other assault rifles just do that same job but better. So if you really like using an SMG, that's why it's in C tier. It's still, you can still make it work in higher tiers. It's just, for me, no, not so much. I don't like picking these weapons. I don't feel like they're super effective, but you can get the job done. So yeah, low C tier, unfortunately. So that's the overall tier list. Now, how would I fix or make some of these weapons better? When it comes to the assault rifles, they need a little bit of a, I think overall they need a little bit of a damage bump, and I think they need higher magazine size. When you compare the assault rifles to, say, an energy weapon like the sickle just does this same job, but way better. So that's why I think all these assault rifles need a little bit of a damage bump, larger magazine size, and I think we go from there. And then I think these things will really be shining. You know, unlike the shotgun, a lot of these weapons are sitting in like the low B tier, C, D, and you really want majority of the weapons to be, you know, closer to that mid B tier, you know. So I think that's what these the assault rifles really need. The SMGs, I really just put them on here to show what the assault rifles could be, you know, more closely of what they could be as far as being a viable option. SMG wise, I think all of them are pretty solid except for the knight. There's only 3 of them, so you know, we need some more SMGs, but I'm kind of afraid with, you know, what they would put out at the moment. But we'll see with balance. You know, there should be one around the corner, but this is how everything kind of shakes out for the Escalation of Freedom update for me. You know, we did get the Rocket Strider and we did get the Alpha Brew Commander, and those do change up the higher tier difficulties as far as how effective these chaff clear, you know, primary weapons function. So these are where these ones sit for me right now. That's it for the tier list. Just real quick, we did hit 1K subs, so that's pretty awesome. It's not really gonna change how I'm operating things here. I like the flow we got going on. Everybody's super nice. We're getting great engagement. So yeah, just, you know, thanks you guys for you know, watching and putting up with me. I'll just, you know, if you did make it this far, you know, hey, consider liking and subscribing. I'm probably gonna keep this crap to the you know, the end of the video. So if you made this far, thank you. And I think you could read the tea leaves on the kind of the next build I'm gonna do, or at least what it's gonna be centered around. So until then, peace.